What's going on, everybody? Welcome to After Prison Show. And today, boy, it feels good to be back in this chair. It feels like I haven't had a chance to be doing videos in front of the camera like we usually do or have done for so long. But every time I get a chance to do so and get in front of this camera, sit in this chair, I really try to put on for you guys the very best that I possibly can. And I hope I'm able to do so again today. Today, folks, I want to talk to you about the 4th of July in prison. What is the 4th of July like while serving time? We're actually getting ready to attempt a clout chase off of a holiday. But hear me out. There are some really interesting things to bring up in relation to serving time and certain holidays, like this upcoming one that we have upcoming, the 4th of July. And as you guys already know, I've spent many years locked up in prison, and that only equals many 4th of Julys that I've spent there as well. And not only do I want to tell you about some really interesting things in relation to this particular holiday, I also want to share with you probably one of the craziest experiences, the craziest prison story that I ever have from the 4th of July. So folks, it's with all of that being mentioned that what do you say we go ahead and die? Va! I was attempting to try to act like I was lighting off some fireworks, which I found is illegal in the city that I live in. Head first into this video. I know that missed the mark. I apologize. Folks, when you think about serving time and certain holidays that arise throughout the year, the 4th of July might not seem like one that's all that important. However, make no mistake of it, every holiday that you spend locked up is going to have its own type of significance for its own reason. And the 4th of July is a perfect example of that. The 4th of July in prison, Joe, what could possibly be interesting about the 4th of July in prison? I'm gonna go ahead and dislike this video right now. Don't hit the dislike button just yet. I mean, God, give me a chance. There's a valid explanation to this. The 4th of July, one particular reason why this particular holiday is important while serving time is because this particular holiday takes place in July, the month after June. June being the 6th month of the year, July being a little bit more than halfway through the year. And each individual holiday that comes up, starting with New Year's, Valentine's Day, if I'm missing any holiday, I'm not gonna go any further because I know there's gonna be some holidays. Joe, you ain't talking about Martin Luther King Day though. Each individual holiday that comes up throughout the year is almost like a marker along the road. You know, the next holiday coming up is the 4th of July, with just a little bit more than halfway through the year. Boy, I ain't got but 20 more 4th of Julys and then I'm home. 20 more. You got 20 years left. And you know, these holidays, though they can be tough to deal with, certain holidays can be worse than others. Valentine's Day, Thanksgiving, Christmas, hell, even Halloween could be tough to deal with when you think about your kids out there trick-or-treating with your old lady and possibly Jody, taking them kids, boy, go on, get you some candy, boy. You ain't my kid. You just call me Jody. Yeah, that's what you call me Jody. Each individual holiday is like a marker along the road being the years that you have to serve, and it's a way for guys to be able to bid. And the 4th of July is a perfect example of that. A little more than halfway through the year where you're getting ready for the long haul. Because honestly, I don't know what the next holiday after 4th of July, what is it? Labor Day? Memorial Day? One of them. And please don't hit the dislike button because I don't know which one comes first. I'm not trying to be funny about that point. But the 4th of July is a holiday that you might not think is all that important to guys who are serving time. However, it actually is. And the reason for that is because at most institutions, the 4th of July is a day where you're gonna get a little extra added incentives, possibly even a few extra privileges on that day. Let's take this particular 4th of July this year that falls on a Thursday. A Thursday is not the weekend when guys usually get visits, but at most institutions, this upcoming Thursday, the 4th of July, when they will be able to get a special holiday visit. And on this upcoming Thursday, you can rest assured the guys are gonna be getting up early, getting all fresh and clean, waiting for that girl who said she was coming. Bright and early they up, shining their boots, shining their forehead and their face, making sure they look like they glowing, waiting for that girl to show up. And there are gonna be some guys who wait all day long, and that girl just ain't gonna show up. They're gonna hop on that telephone later in the evening trying to call home. Hey, what happened? I thought you said you was coming to see me today. I've been telling you about this special visit on the 4th of July since last year. Since last year on the 4th of July when you ain't come and see me. Oh, I'm sorry, Bobby. Bobby, I thought I told you I had to work today. I'm sorry, Bobby. I'm so sorry. Shh. He can hear you. He can hear you. You gotta be quiet. I know, Bobby, that was just the television. That was just the television back in the background playing. You had to work. You had to work, girl. You work at a bank. You work at a bank, it's a national holiday. There ain't no banks open on the 4th of July, though. You lied to me. You're gonna most certainly see some fireworks going off, and I ain't talking about the type you're gonna be watching on the television. I'm talking about the type on the phone when them guys don't be getting them visits that they was expecting to be getting on the 4th of July. But not everybody in prison is getting visits. I can remember during the time that I served, there were many years in a row. I think it was like 4 years straight in a row on the 4th of July that I never got no visit. I wasn't up early getting my... Actually, I lied. I'm lying. I probably did it every single time. On the 4th of July, getting up, getting all dressed up, sitting in the chair, looking dumbfounded all day long, praying that somebody was coming to see me. Wasn't nobody coming to see me. Joe, you was forgotten during them 4 years. And yeah, I'm mad. But I'm free now, so it don't even matter. Visits aren't the only special little perk or bonus or privilege that's going to happen on this particular holiday. A lot of institutions are going to feed you a special holiday meal on the 4th of July. I can remember at the last facility I was at and the one before that and possibly even the one before that, on the 4th of July, you got you 1 hot dog for lunch and 1 hamburger. No cheese. None. Unless you brought it in there from your commissary. You brought you in some of that Cactus anti-squeeze cheese was the only way you was getting a cheeseburger. But 1 hot dog and 1 hamburger and a piece of prison cake with possibly some icing on it as well, some vegetables, maybe even a salad, possibly even some ruffled potato chips. It might not sound like much, but trust me, that's a better trade than what you would be getting on the Wednesday prior to that day or the Friday afterwards. And that special 4th of July meal, which is going to come at lunchtime, you know, that's something interesting that you might not know. It definitely happens here in the state of Virginia. If you've served time in another state, tell me how they do it there. But here, no matter what holiday it is, if they're having a special holiday meal, take Christmas, for example, you're getting that decked out tray out of the chow hall for lunch. Ain't gonna be no Christmas dinner. You're gonna be eating Christmas dinner in prison at lunchtime. And then when you go back for dinner, it's enough to make you never want to come back to prison. You getting a bag lunch. A bag lunch, some sweat meat sandwiches. Some prison bologna and cheese sandwiches. You might get you a mustard. You might get you a mayonnaise. It's a roll of the dice which one you get because you ain't getting both. You ever ate a bag lunch for Christmas dinner? But that special holiday meal that you'll get in prison on the 4th of July is definitely something to look forward to. Guys will be selling that tray, trying to buy extras. I got $5. I got 5 bars of Irish Spring soap for your 4th of July tray. Man, 5 bars of Irish Spring soap, that ain't no $5. You already know Irish Spring ain't no dollar in the spread. It's bad money right there. You got 5 Irish Springs for a 4th of July tray? Who gonna be eating Irish Spring for dinner? Any takers? The man said he got 5 Irish Springs for your 4th of July. Oh, you should take that deal, though. The man said he got 5 Irish Springs. You should take that. You ain't been in the shower in a month. It's the 4th of July. Today's a holiday. It's hot as hell outside. Get your ass up and take the 5 Irish Springs and get in the shower. Whew. I'm having fun with this today, and I hope you're enjoying this. Something else that you might see in prison on the 4th of July is some sort of a field day, a day where you're getting extra rec, extra time out on the yard, possibly even a barbecue out on the yard. I've heard of this at certain prisons. I have never actually seen this, but I have heard of these field days in prison when they're having barbecues outside and your family can come and have a picnic with you. You could be on the rec yard with your old lady down there on Cracker Beach. Again, I've heard of that, but I've never seen that. But in terms of the extra rec, the field days, I have seen that, just not the picnic and the barbecue part with your loved ones. And during these field days or this extra rec time, I've also seen this as well, where you've got bands, the prison bands. You're gonna have the country band, the rock band, the heavy metal band, the emo band. Ain't gonna be no emo bands in prison. The rap group, and these guys are actually allowed to perform outside. So not only are dudes getting up extra early to get their boots all shine and their forehead shine better than a buff floor in prison, and you know they be buffing them floors in prisons. Not only are guys gonna be getting up, getting extra prepared for that potential visit that might not come, they'll also be getting up, getting prepared for that possible field day that they could be having, that extra rec time when the band's out there playing, you got little Nas X out there performing on the rec yard. And whether you're a member of that band or you're just somebody who's just partaking in the activities, you know, that's a time for you to mingle. You're gonna have them female guards out there. You might even have, well, you ain't gonna have no counselors out there. They ain't gonna be working on that day. But there's gonna be at least a female, possibly 2, that you might I'm gonna say might, it's gonna be a slim chance, talking this slim chance. You might be able to try to shoot your shot. I mean, it's the holidays, for God's sakes. We both locked up together, just wearing a different color uniform. Hold up. We're gonna do it. We're gonna go talk to her this time. We're gonna go talk to her this time. I know she likes me. Let's do it. Hey, Officer Dookie lady. You know, we've been doing this for a long time. We've been doing this for a long time, you and I. It's been what, 3, 4, 5 years now? You've been working inside of that booth. I've been coming up there trying to get my pencil sharpened. Hey, you sharpen this for me? You know, throughout that time, I couldn't help but to feel this certain chemistry, possibly even fireworks between us. No pun intended. I know today's the 4th of July, girl. So you know I'm asking. I'm asking you, girl. You, Officer Dookie lady. I'm asking you. I'm asking you. Do you be feeling them fireworks between us like I do? Code red, code red, code red, white, and blue, code red, white, and blue out on the red guard right now. You know, all of that brings up a very valid point. One of the worst situations you could be in prison during any holiday, don't matter what it is. It's only going to be intensified, electrified. Worser times 10 is being in isolation. I can remember one time when I was 18 years old, I spent Christmas in the hole for stealing sodas out of a cooler when I was the juice man. Warn't no worser time to be locked up than in isolation, solitary confinement during Christmas or any other holiday. So let's recap a little bit real quick. You know, on the 4th of July, some added perks and bonuses and privileges that are going to take place on this day are going to be your extra special holiday visit time, the better food that you could potentially be eating that special holiday meal, possibly and potentially some extra rec time, field days, family activity days in prison. They actually have happened in the past. I don't know of anywhere that still does that. And when I was mentioning those family picnics and those barbecues, I can remember old heads in prison telling me how some of these prisons used to be. Hey, young, I'm trying to tell you, this is my 7th time in prison, my 7th time. But back during the first time, back in 1979, at this same prison, I've been to this same prison 6 times. I ain't never learned no lesson, not one lesson I ever learned. But back in 1979, when I first came here on the 4th of July, they had family activity, field day picnics, and barbecues. Weren't even no fences. You've been to this same particular prison 6 different times in one lifetime. You dumb as a... The 4th of July in prison isn't going to be one of your worst holidays to have to spend locked up. Christmas, Thanksgiving, and Valentine's Day are definitely going to be some of your more harder holidays to deal with. But it can still be a tough holiday nonetheless. In fact, some might even argue that any holiday that you're locked up for is going to be a tough time to be locked up. Some guys are just going to be able to deal with it better than others, and some guys ain't going to be able to deal with it at all. You're going to see dudes walking around with that bitter beer face all day long. Dude, it's 24 hours you got to get through this. Just 24 hours. Let the hostility go. But I truly feel like most guys in prison are able to handle the 4th of July in not so bad of a way. It's actually a decent holiday to be locked up for if there's such a thing. And to be honest, I know how dumb that sounds right there. There is no good holiday to be locked up for. There's no good time to be locked up. But if you're locked up and you got to be locked up, the 4th of July really isn't that bad. Again, you're more than halfway through the year, and there's some perks and things that come along with it. And throughout all of the many years that I've spent locked up, I can remember spending most of my 4th of Julys in prison, out on the rec yard, playing soccer, walking around, kicking it with my homeboys, just having a grand old time in prison, eating that holiday meal, trading for 5 bars of Irish Spring soap. Who would ever do that? And then laying up in the bunk, watching the 4th of July fireworks presentation on TV, and thinking to myself every single year, this is one less 4th of July that I gotta be locked up for, and one 4th of July closer to that next 4th of July that I'll get to spend out in the free world. And at the beginning of this video, I said that there was this prison story that I wanted to share with you guys. It was the craziest thing that I ever went through during the 4th of July in prison. I've actually shared this story before in the past. Not only have I shared this story before in the past, I wrote a blog post about this story. I drew cartoons about this particular story. This was one of the craziest experiences I ever had in prison. And also, it happened on the 4th of July. And it relates to this one particular chick who was a pen pal of mine, the very first prison pen pal I ever had. And you know, I don't want to say anything mean about this chick, but she just didn't have it all together up here. But I had just started dealing with this chick through correspondences, through letters. This was pre-prison email time, where you still had to pick up that pen, that paper, that envelope, and that stamp to get you some correspondences happening, unless you was getting on the telephone. And at this time, I wasn't even getting on the phone just yet. We had just started writing to one another. Me and this crazy chick did. We were just starting to get to know one another. I think she had only come to visit me at this point one time prior to the 4th of July. And you know, I've laughed and joked about this chick in the past. I said that her head was the shape of a 5-gallon Gatorade water cooler. I realize now that was mean, but it was. And you know, putting looks aside, she had a really nice personality, and she was going out of her way to give me the time of day, who at the time didn't deserve that from nobody. But it was the 4th of July this one particular year. I think I still had 2+ years left to serve, almost 3 years left to serve. I was just getting to my very last prison that I would be at, Indian Creek. I would just begin corresponding with this chick, meeting her for the very first time. And then the 4th of July would roll around. I was out on the rec yard. I was playing soccer. There were many days in prison where I used to be out on that soccer field just by myself. You want to talk about being a lonely dude in prison? Be out on the rec yard kicking a soccer ball around by yourself, because ain't nobody else trying to do that right now. Joe, it's too early. It's too hot. It's 4th of July. Put the soccer ball down, Joe. But there were many times that I did that. Out there by myself kicking a soccer ball around. I'll never forget hearing over that intercom on that rec yard. It echoes, echoes, echoes. I did that for added emphasis. Never forget hearing over that intercom. Guerrero! Arrow! Googly moogly! You've got a visit! 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 Boy, before that echo was even done, that soccer ball was across the fence and I was already inside the building getting ready. Boy, I gotta be a what? I gotta be a what? A visit! I just knew. I wasn't even thinking about 5-gallon Gatorade water jug head. I was not thinking about her. I was thinking about all of them other. You know them other girls who you be with and then you get locked up and then they find Jody number 1 and Jody number 20 and you just be thinking about them. Damn, I wonder whatever happened to that girl. I heard she got pregnant 40 times while I was locked up. Damn. Yeah, I'm thinking it's anybody coming to see me other than this prison pen pal. And I was excited. You know, I got ready in like 2.5 seconds, went to the booth, got my pass, I was out the door, going to that visitation room. Got in there, got signed in, they searched me, stripped me, spread the junies, and I was in the visiting room, looking around. Who's here to see me? Is this my dad coming to see me? Who is in here to see? My brother, possibly? Maybe one of them friends that I thought was my friends that I learned. Whoa, whoa, you. I wasn't expecting to see you up in here. I'm gonna be honest with y'all. You know, this was a blessing. Somebody taking the time out of their day to come see me on this 4th of July holiday when they could be out in the free world doing anything else. She actually worked for a check cashing place similar to a bank. She didn't lie to me about having a day off like I talked about in that skit earlier. And, you know, I should have been humbled by the fact that I was getting this visit. And prior to my initial feeling on the situation would be my pre-initial feeling. I was mad. I was mad that it was her who was here to see me. Damn, why it gotta be you though? But that would quickly fade. And you might be thinking, oh, Joe, you're a good guy. Yeah, you're an asshole for the way you were thinking at first, but you know, you would be humbled. No, that didn't happen at all. I wasn't humbled. That anger, that initial anger that I was feeling was quickly replaced with shock and utter frightfulness. And the reason for that was because as she was sitting there with my big hamburger and bag of potato chips and my Pepsi Cola drink waiting for me, she was leaking from her head. She was bleeding in the visitation room. You never see anybody she looked like she got beat up. I'm like, well, who did this to you? Who did this to you? They let this happen to you in here. And when I sat down, she would then tell me, because I would ask immediately, damn, what happened to your head? She would tell me, she said she fell out in the parking lot. She wasn't paying attention. She tripped over the curb. It could happen to anybody. It's not funny. and she caught herself with her forehead. Could have got a concussion. Thank God she didn't. No hands at all. And yeah, this was a super sad situation. This was a super embarrassing situation. We would go through the entirety of the visit with everybody staring at us, everybody laughing. I'm telling her, like, I'm trying to wrap the visit up pretty quick. I could have probably sat in that visitation room for at least an hour plus. I don't think I sat in there for anything more than like 20 minutes. Just enough for me to eat that food and say, hey, look, you really need to go get some tissue and some water on that. And I'm gonna write you a letter. I'm gonna write you. Thanks for that burger and them chips and that Pepsi. I'm gonna write you, okay? Go get that taken care of, a little tissue paper right there. I will be honest with you, I never heard the end of that while I was in prison for the remainder of those 2+ years. Hey, Joe, boy, Joe, you remember that time on the 4th of July when you got that visit, you whooped that girl ass, didn't you? You put hands on that girl in that visitation room, didn't you? How she was bleeding like that, Joe? That's your girl. That's your old lady, though. She's a nice person. She is my friend, okay? Ironically enough, Jellicoe was in the visiting room during this time as well. Pretty crazy. Folks, I just wanted to share this video with you guys about the 4th of July in prison, and I truly hope that you enjoyed this. We've got this holiday upcoming. We are out here in the free world, and I hope that you guys will be able to enjoy this day, have the day off, make the most of this day, and just either relax or do something fun. I know I'm gonna damn sure try to do that myself. And as I wrap this up, I just want to say I truly appreciate having each and every one of you rock with After Prison Show. We've been doing this for almost 4 years now. This October 15th will make 4 years that I've been released from prison, and it was in November of 2015 when I first made my very first video for YouTube. That's a long time that After Prison Show has been around. And again, it means the world having each and every one of you who rock with this channel. Hey, look, that's it. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did so, please leave a like and a comment, letting me know exactly what you thought about this. As always, until next time, enjoy life, the free world. Never take a moment for granted, and make the most of every day. Peace!